Hey Dave, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. So today, Dave, I wanted to cover how we import, load, read, and write CSV using Python and Pandas in Jupyter Notebook.
Let's do it.
But we're going to use Noteable, which is a free cloud-based interactive computing solution, very similar to Jupyter Notebook. It's compatible with it. You can export and import Jupyter Notebook and use Noteable as you're using your notebook as well. So, but let's jump in. So what is a CSV? A CSV is a common file format used for storing and exchanging tabular data. It's a bunch of rows and columns. The columns are representing a field and the rows are representing the record. So the way you want to do it here, we're going to look at the CSV called happiness data from 2015. It's just importing a bunch of libraries if you use your notebook. And then I'm going to use the typical methods. That's a bit archaic now because there is libraries such as Pandas to do it. Which is about reading and manipulating CSV file in Python. So what we're going to do is use the CSV reader function to just read that happiness data. And you can see, you can visualize this data now in a not very friendly format. And the next step of what we can do is actually use a different function called dicreader, which is going to turn my my CSV into a dictionary, and I'm going to be able to run a filter on it. So what I'm doing here is looking at the field happiness rank, scanning all the rows and trying to say, okay, retrieve only the records that have an happiness rank above 10. And you see, I can run that pretty fast, and I can print now that filter data. What's pretty annoying, again, it's that format that is being returned to. It's not very readable, not very easy for me to digest it. So yeah, that's a typical way to read and open a CSV in Python.
There's got to be a better way to do this, right? So if you want the CSV to help you analyze data and to view the data and actually see it as a table, right? What we would use within a notebook to do that?
Yeah, so the most typical way used by people who are familiar with Jupyter Notebooks is to really use something called Pandas. So Pandas is just a toolkit for data analytics that makes it easy to read, interact with CSV file and other formats such as JSON as well. So what you're going to do with Pandas and use a typical function called read CSV. So instead of the reader that we had here, the CSV.reader, we're going to use that package called pandas as PD. So I'm going to call that package PD, and I'm going to use the function read CSV. I'm just going to path the path to my CSV and just display it. And so what you get now is called a pandas data frame that is just simply structuring this output to make it easy for you to digest. So you can see the happiness rank here, and the rows are trying to filter earlier with a typical comment. So now we have shown how to open and manipulate a CSV that you have uploaded locally or you worked, for example, within Noteable on your project. But sometimes the CSV are just, out there in the wild and you don't have access to download it. There is a typical way to be able to also import and read CSV directly from the web. So here I'm looking at the EPA, which is the agency for environmental agency, when you can look at water quality and other kind of things like that. And what I'm doing is using the request package. The request package allows me to fetch a URL, and usually it's going to be used a lot for downloading data or just manipulating data without obviously the need to display it. But then on top of that, I'm just going to use the same pandas package to display that URL that I downloaded here. So I'm creating that table that's available publicly, and then I'm going to read that using the same read CSV function we just looked at above. And again, I have that same data frame that's pretty nicer to look at than the typical CSV reader from Python.
Isn't there a way you can just pass that URL directly into the Pandas call?
Yeah, actually, most people will usually just try to read that URL directly within Pandas, and it usually works. So yeah, you don't have to go as complex as I did above. You can just pass, instead of passing the URL that might be in a local file, pass it directly within the read CSV function by Pandas, and you get a similar result. Yeah, it's way easier, but with the
I'm always looking for shortcuts.
The request package is also useful if you want to download the data and maybe manipulate it without rendering it, because here it's forcing you to automatically creating a data frame. But yes, if that's what you want to do is opening the CSV, Pandas might be the fastest for you.
Cool, makes sense.
And let's conclude with writing back. So for example, I showed you how to import, read, manipulate a CSV very rapidly using Python Pandas. If you create a data frame, so here I'm creating a data frame, let's display the data frame. So it's a very simple data frame, 3 columns, 2 rows. To write it back to the project here, you just use the toCSV command by Pandas. And I'm gonna do df toCSV data.csv, and up the CSV is written back here.
Perfect.
Now I can open it, and in Noteable we have a lot of new features when you can interact with the data, but we'll keep that for another day. But that's the easy way to write back the CSV to your project. Quick bonus is that in Noteable you can also query your CSV directly with SQL, so that's really unique to us. You have a notion of SQL cells, and that enables you to do a select star from the table, like if it was a temporary table. I could do that as well with the new CSV we just created. And a very nice way to interact with the CSV as a bonus with SQL and not just with Python. So yeah, thanks for watching.